What is going on, guys? This is ATC and today I'm bringing you another Photoshop tutorial, and this has been something that has been requested a couple of times by a couple of my friends, and it's how to make YouTube thumbnails. And browsing through the catalogue on YouTube, I've not really found that many tutorials. It may just be me, but I'm sure there are some out there, but I just thought I'd throw in the way that I make them myself. Now this is just the most simplest way. Now you want to keep on the arrow tool up here, and then you want to grab these rulers, and then you want to keep dragging it down until it sticks and it'll find the biting point, and that's dead center there. And then you want to keep going and then it should stop there. So now we've got that dead center right there. So we've got the first layer, which is just a completely blank layer, and then you want to get onto the gradient tool, which is in the same little drop down menu as the paint bucket tool, and then you want to click up here, and you can see you've got these two colours, and this is what the gradient is going to be. Now I usually do it a light blue to a dark blue, so that's a nice light blue colour, and then we've got a nice dark blue colour up here. Right, so let's see how this works out. You want to click directly in the middle and you want to hold and drag it up to the top corner, and as you can see we've got a nice looking gradient background, and I think that one has reversed, so you may want to click on the little reverse tick up there and then do it again. Yeah, that seems about right, so that looks really nice. So now what I usually like to do is create a new layer, which is just this little flipping page button down there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a link in the description so you can get these nice little rising sun effects. And then you want to select your colour here, and usually for this I'll use a nice bright colour. Maybe purple might work for this, like a purpley colour. And then you want to get that in the dead center, and then you want to click. So there you go, you've got the rising sun there, and you can add some effects to this by double clicking on this onto the layer style and adding a drop shadow, which will add like a small little shadow behind the rising sun. And click on this. If you go on the distance, you can just turn that down a little bit so it's got a really subtle shadow behind it. So that looks nice. Now for this part you don't really need the rulers, but I'm going to keep them there anyways because I'm lazy. And then you want to go to your text tool, and I've got a couple of fonts, but I'm just going to use American Captain. And then you want to create your text box at the top, and for example, if I'm going to be talking about one of the more talked about topics in Call of Duty commentaries these days, and that's lag compensation, so you want to type in Call of Duty, and I think I'll have the font what colour could I have the font? This is a struggle, this one. I'm really picky when it comes to like colours and stuff, so I'll just go for a yellow because it's bright. But I mean, like I say, it's all down to personal. It's all down to personal preference. So you want to change the text size, and that seems like a reasonable size right there. Then you want to create another text box at the bottom, and you want to type in lag compensation. That's a little bit too big, so you want to change the size down a little bit, and then you can put that there. So now this is really starting to shape up, but it doesn't look quite all there, so I'm just going to remove these rulers for the purpose of just better vision. So that's not dead center, that should be about right, and that one should be right. So now you want to double click on the text layer, and then you just want to add a couple of effects. I just like to click on stroke, and now you've got a nice little black border around the text. And then you want to click on drop shadow, and then you want to go up to the distance and drag it up a little bit so you've got a nice little shadow behind the text, and that seems right. And you can always add a gradient overlay, so if you click on that and then you go into the gradient, you want to select the bottom colour, which I'm going to put this a darker orangey colour, and then I'm going to have the secondary colour a lighter colour. That's a bit too light, there we go. So now that looks really nice. So instead of having to repeat the whole process on the second one, you can just right click on this first one, you want to click copy layer style, and you want to right click on the second one and paste layer style. And now that's shaping up to be a nice little thumbnail right there. And then you can always go on the internet and you can always get just a PNG file of like a shocked face, or David Vonderhaar getting a bird pooping on his head, or whatever you want to get. But I'm not going to do that, but all you really need to do is go onto Google and maybe type in child crying PNG, and then you want to download the photo, and then it shouldn't have any black borders around it or anything. You can just drag the image straight in and then place it wherever you please. So that's all I've really got for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video, and I hope it's been helpful. Please don't forget to leave feedback, it would be greatly appreciated. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all later.